Okay guys, so in this video I will show you how I sculpted this baby Groot face. And basically I started sculpting because I saw a video of Sculpt, which is a very popular Blender tutor, and he's very popular in Blender community. And recently he uploaded a video about why you should sculpt every day. And after I watched this video, I decided that I will also try to sculpt every day in some periods, within some specified period of time. And basically I give myself a time limit, which is 1 hour, and in this 1 hour I should sculpt something. And I start with stuff that are easy for me and that I know that I can finish. And I decided for the first day to sculpt a baby Groot face because it's quite simple for me, and he looks cute, and I wanted to try to see if I can sculpt him or not. And basically I started 2 days ago, which means that I already have 2 sculpts. One is baby Groot and second is Mr. Incredible from Incredibles. And I think baby Groot turns out better, but you will see. And in this in these videos I will just show you my process of making the baby Groot, and I will try to explain everything, how I did it, and maybe some tips and tricks. But so basically I always start with a cube, and then I subdivide it 2 times, and after you subdivide it you have a sphere, after which I use grab brush to define the basic shape of the head. And this is for me the easiest way to start sculpting when you have very good base model on which you can sculpt on. So I spend most time to try define those shapes, because if you have shapes right, you will have the sculpt right too at the end. And as you can see from the first minutes, I also define the position of the eyes and make eyes too, so I can place them and see the result, how this look. And also the teeth, I put them into the places so I don't have to worry about them later. And the very important thing is references, and I had my references on the second monitor, and I usually go to Google Graphics or to Arstation or to Sketchfab, and I find references of the model that I sculpt. And I found really interesting sculpt of the face of baby Groot, which I heavily inspired on, and I think I will link the model in the descriptions. But also I looked at the other models too, so you can understand the shapes of the Groot from each side, so from front, right side and back side, so you can see how he looks in 3D. And here, as you can see, I turn off the symmetry. I work on symmetry for the most time as far as I can, because in some point you have to turn it off, because Groot is not symmetrical because of his I don't know, hair. You can call it hair. And yeah, I had to extrude it with a snake tool, and yeah, it turns out okay, I think. Okay guys, and I also wanted to tell that when you're doing fast sculpts like this, just don't worry about everything, because yeah, you have only 1 hour to do everything, so don't focus on one thing. Don't focus on only one thing. For example, don't focus on eyes entirely, just try to split the time into different sections of the head. And I learned from other YouTubers and from other courses that when I was drawing, I was learning drawing, I learned that when you're drawing, you don't focus on one part. You don't focus mainly on one part, so you have to switch from part to part. So for example, if you are sculpting the eye now, and you don't sculpt it for example, don't sculpt it for 10 minutes straight, just sculpt it for 3 minutes, then change to the ear, start sculpting ear, and then change to mouth, etc. Because when you're sculpting in one place, you are focusing too much on it, and then you can make some mistakes. And if you change to other parts, you can rest from this part, and after you come back to the part, maybe you can see some new things that you could do better. And I think this is a good practice to quickly change parts that you are sculpting on, and I recommend it to you guys too. And here I tried to do the creases that are on the faces of the baby Groot, and I make a mistake, because as you can see, the crease, they are not as strong as I would like, because I didn't change my detail to be higher, and I tried to sculpt on the lowest detail as I could, because I had also a screen recorder on the second monitor, and I was scared that my Blender could crash. But then I decided that I can crank it up a bit, but yeah, it was later. Okay, also here, as you can see, I always sculpt. I start with low details, so I usually change my brush to be constant detail, as you saw in my other tutorials, and I start sculpting from the small detail, because I can do the shapes very easily. Like I can shape the correct. I can have the correct shapes, and then if I have correct shapes, then I crank up the detail, and I start adding some details. So as you can see here, I added some details on the eyes because I had the placement right, and also his hair also I had the placement right, and you will see that later I will change my detail to be higher. So I work in steps, and I recommend it to you guys too. I tried to sculpt on relative details, but it's for me confusing because it's hard to control the amount of detail that you apply to the model, and when you have constant detail, yeah, you can control it better, and that works very nice. And one more thing that I learned from Jan Sculpt video is that when 1 hour pass, yeah, you don't touch your model anymore, you just leave it. And if for example you had one thing that you really want to change, but you are out of time, just leave it and try to learn how to give up on some ideas, not ideas, give up on the models, so you can leave it. You learn how to abandon your art, and that is also good. And I think here I didn't had that problem because I fit perfectly into 1 hour, because I looked at my timer and I tried to divide the time equally to each part. But in the second day, when I sculpted Mr. Incredible, I think I had yeah, my eyes were placed wrongly, and I really wanted to change that. But yeah, rules is the rules, so I just leave it, and he looks a bit weird, but yeah, it's normal. And I think I don't have nothing to say more, guys, and I will leave you with the time lapse. And if you would like to see more kinds of these tutorials, well, not tutorials, with time lapses, just let me know in the comments. I think they are quite nice, and I also want to do it for myself to see my progress changing from time to time. And yeah, here I saw that I look at the reference and I saw that the face of the baby Groot, the space between the eyes and mouth is a bit smaller, so I will later change it so they will be closer together. Yeah, so enjoy my time lapse, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye.